NPOs, and they bring their reports for verification, as well as evidence of activities that were undertaken during the previous months. This is where achievements of targets and that are evaluated and confirmed. So gaps that are identified are corrected. The department has also approved the use of private vehicles to perform official duties, which is Scheme B, and then 255 officials responsible for monitoring of work done by NPOs were approved, and the approval has increased the NPO monitoring visits, including those areas that were regarded as hotspots for car hijacking. Scheme B is when an official will perform official duties using his or her own personal car. Is one of the within the policies in terms of the transport in government. It has assisted us. We prioritize the district that MEC was referring to, King Cetshwayo, because we were experiencing quite a number of car hijacking, King Cetshwayo, Inanda, eThekwini areas. And the audit finding is unlikely to occur in 2022-2023 financial year. Resolution 198 of 2022, the department has a unit called Directorate Organizational Risk Management and Internal Audit that is responsible to conduct the investigations in the department. The challenge that we have a high staff turnover in this unit, which resulted that only 3 officials were available to conduct investigations. So the progress was slow, but we're fortunate enough that the Office of the Premier approved for us to fill the posts of 2 deputy directors, 2 assistant directors, 2 state accountants, to actually fill the vacancies. So we are expecting the new officials to start assume duties by the 1st of April 2023, because the recruitment process is on. Some have already finalized the interviews. But we have made significant strides on the investigations of fruitless and wasteful expenditure for prior years, following an investigations that were conducted and are undergoing the internal ratification processes before the reports are formally handed over to the head of the department. So these are the investigations that were done for Northern Cluster, Southern Cluster, eThekwini Cluster, head office, as well as a Midlands Cluster. The investigation of fruitless and wasteful expenditure for 2018-19 for head office, that was done. And then there are 2 remaining investigations of fruitless and wasteful expenditure for 2018-19 and 2020-21 that have commenced, and we are expecting that investigation is finalized by 31 March of 2023. They are busy with it right now. The findings and recommendations and time frame for implementation will be confirmed after the ratification of the reports are finalized and handed over to the HOD. And then, in order to avoid the recurrence of the fruitless and wasteful expenditure on overdue accounts, the department has implemented the following: payment of supplies within 30 days is a standing agenda item for all our management meetings. That includes EXCO as well as MENCO, and that is in line with the recommendation by the National Treasury. The payment of services within 30 days also is included in the performance agreement of the HOD, the Chief Financial Officer, as well as the Director Supply Chain Management, and all responsibility managers as far as that is concerned. What is also key honorable members, that is not covered here. Some of the wasteful and fruitless expenditures that we were experiencing was in line with Eskom, who was billing us and then put an interest when they bill us. So that matter is going to be resolved because we are engaging with the Eskom and they've responded positively to us. We have a meeting with the management of Eskom in the province next week, those that are responsible for the billing system. So we are positive that that will be cleared. And then the department also has issued Circular 1 of 2022 on the maintenance of invoices received, register as monitoring tool to ensure that invoices are paid within 30 days. And this has improved compliance to 99.7%, which is almost 100%. Consequence management will be applied where it is found that interest on overdue account was charged due to failure of an official to comply with the department policies and prescripts. With regard to Resolution 199 of 2022, there is progress that has been made by the department in determining testing of all irregular expenditure and submission thereof to the provincial treasury for condonation, which is as follows. The register of irregular expenditure was analyzed to identify irregular expenditure that was recorded as a result of findings raised by AG and irregular expenditure that was incorrectly recorded. Irregular expenditure of 100.5 million was found to be incorrectly recorded. The interim financial statement and register of irregular expenditure as at 31 December 2022 have been updated accordingly. A determination tests were conducted for the expired security, catering, cleaning, and cell phone contracts, which constituted the majority of the irregular expenditure that was recorded. Condonation of submissions were made in two batches, a batch of 399.4 million as well as 208.6 million, which included cumulative register of irregular expenditure that reconciled the AFS, annual financial statements, a determination test report, a consequence management report, and details of action taken, like PESAL reports for officials that resigned, as well as document relating to corrective action that were taken. Also, there was a training with regard to the officials working within SCM and payment vouchers requested by the provincial treasurer. We must also confirm and note that the provincial treasurer has not yet provided the department with the outcome of the condonations that were submitted. The next condonation submission to provincial treasury is expected to be made. That was we remember the report was forwarded long time before this time, so it was February 2023 with regard to the 34.4 million on a COVID-19 expenditure as well as Lima Rural Development, which is 23.1. The transactions still under determination are expected to be completed by the end of March 2023. The major challenge that is faced by the department is with regard to the retrieval of payment vouchers of old transactions, because we have old transactions that it's difficult to actually get the vouchers. And then below are the details of irregular expenditure as per last audited annual financial statements, which is March 2022. The findings of the determination test conducted thus far confirm that the department is implementing recommendations of the report, which included disciplinary steps taken against officials. Details of consequence management against responsible officials are as follows. One director supply chain management was charged with misconduct and dismissed. That was in 2012. One director supply chain management was placed on precautionary suspension and charged with misconduct, but resigned by 2018. before his misconduct case was finalized. And this is also this was also noted on PESAL as a record. And one supply chain acting director was placed on precautionary suspension and resigned on the 31st of July 2020 before his conduct was finalized. This was also noted on PESAL. And one official that was found guilty on 18 November 2020, a sanction of final written warning was pronounced. The official was transferred to another section where she is not dealing with finance-related matters. There's one official was found guilty in May 2021. A sanction of demotion was pronounced from level 7 to level 6. Official was transferred to another section where she is not dealing with finance-related matters. Another official also was found guilty in May 2021. A sanction of demotion from assistant director to senior admin officer was also pronounced. It was also given 2-month suspension without pay, and then was transferred to another section where he's not dealing with finance-related matters. One official who's also an SMS member resigned on the 29th of June 2021 before the disciplinary hearing was finalized. We have 4 officials who are SMS members who were placed on suspension July 2020, who were charged with misconduct. Their case is not yet finalized. And then the National Prosecution Authority has declined a criminal prosecution against these officials. The report did not recommend recovery of money against these officials, but against companies that inflated prices when the procurement process was done. There are 2 companies that agreed to pay back the money to the department, and which is amounting to 1.5 million. The SIU is actually managing this matter for us. In fact, we recently wrote to them, to SIU, because we want them to tell us when are they transferring those funds back to the department, because they were in advanced stages in terms of getting these monies from these 2 companies. In other instances, irregular expenditure accumulated because of appeals. In such cases, the department could not implement disciplinary actions against those officials. The department has undertaken the following remedial measures to prevent and manage irregular expenditure with a view to improving efficiency and effectiveness in the department. Department is now having functional bid committees as a result of all expired contracts that were causing irregular expenditure having been awarded. We also these security bids are awarded, and there are new contracts that have commenced from the 1st of September 2022. That also include facility catering. We're looking into the catering in our treatment centers, child and youth care centers, and so on. And some have commenced already in January 2023. Some are were commenced in February 2023. So the SCM unit has been resuscitated in terms of contract management, because the challenge that we observed as management was that the contract management was not functional, because contract management, you have a unit that monitors the expiry date of the contracts that we have, so that they start the process on time. Before the end of the current contract, already the next contract has been finalized, so that we do not then experience unauthorized expenditure. So that has been done. The unit is up and is running, and we are monitoring them. The department has also made submissions for condonation to the provincial treasury, and the first submission entails these expired contracts, and then the submission to the provincial treasury accumulatively is the 399.3 million. This will drastically reduce our figure of irregular expenditure. And this amount also includes the financial year in question. The department has erroneously classified bids not advertised on e-tender as irregular expenditure, even though it was advertised on tender bulletin. So this then made much difference from 2020-21 as well as 21-22 financial year of irregular expenditure register. In order to mitigate this, the amount emanating from this classification will form part of the second submission to the provincial treasurer for condonation. The department has erroneously classified bid not no, the department is now having an approved supply chain management standard operating procedures which articulates SCM processes step by step, and these have been also shared with everyone in the department, and people have been trained that are responsible for SCM. As I indicated, continuous training are provided to all districts, including SCM and Finance Forum. These measures are proving to be effective since all expired contracts are now renewed through appointment of new contracts accordingly. In terms of Resolution 200 of 2022, there is progress on the payment of service providers. That the department has included this activity as part of a EXCO agenda item and as recommended by the National Treasury. Excuse me, the department will further in the next cycle also ensuring that these are included in the performance agreements in terms of the payment of service provided within 30 days, the performance agreement of the HOD, CFO, SCM director, as well as all responsibility managers. And then there is this also information here in terms of how the department processed the payments. You can see that out of 6,250 invoices received, 6,231 invoices were paid within 30 days. Only 19 invoices were not paid within 19 days. But you do get explanation that maybe you find that as we receive the invoices, maybe you find that the banking details are not correct and so on. But then that gives us 99.7% in terms of the payment of service providers within 30 days. Honorable Chair, if you round off, it's like 100%, although then there's those 19 service providers that were not paid. In terms of Resolution 201 of 2022, the next one is that details of the reason for over expenditure in 2021, 2022, whether the vote itself was overspent as a result. In 2021-22, the department registered an unauthorized expenditure of 90.207 million against the main divisions of a vote in program 1, 2, and 4. And the overall spending for vote was in the low budget. For example, underspent by 59.5 million. The over expenditure was mainly against goods and services amounting to 58.7 million, mainly due to the payment of prior year accruals in respect of property payments relating to security services costs in April 2021. Furthermore, also contributing to the overspending were higher than budgeted property payments relating to security services, as well as annual tariff increases that are imposed by SERA, which were inadequately budgeted for by the department. And then as a result of the annual tariff, and as well as the removal of issues of electricity, sewage, refuse removal, and water these are also annual tariffs that were increased that also affected us. In addition, an external budgeted for by the machinery equipment reflects over a spending of 5.5 million rand. These were placed also the challenge during the July unrest. These were pressures as a result of the budget cuts that we were implemented against in the department against the baseline of 2021-2022 MTF. These cuts were unrealistic because they did not take into account the yearly increases in price of goods and services, as well as shortages of staff due to vacant posts which could not be filled, as the carry-through cost of the budget cuts rendered some of the filled and vacant posts unaffordable. So the department requested for approval of the post adjustment estimate variance in line with Section 43 of the PFMA and Treasury Regulation Section 6.3.1. The savings realized within Program 5 Development and Research due to unfilled vacant posts was utilized to defray excess spending against the compensation of employees in Program 1, which is administration, for vacant posts to be filled. And these could not be afforded as a result of the baseline cut. Furthermore, variants were undertaken to correct classification in Program 4. Restorative services as funds were moved from goods and services as budgeted for under contractors in line with the classification circular 21, and these funds were moved to compensation of employees as social workers were appointed against PESAC. These budget movements were approved by the provincial treasurer as they were within other prescripts. So the department has initiated an internal investigation of the unauthorized expenditure, and that investigation has not been completed. The disciplinary steps will be taken against the officials once this has been done in terms of the recommendation. The steps to recover losses from responsible officials will also be undertaken once investigation has been finalized. The measures which have been put in place include continuous engagement on budget issues in various forums of the department that include budget committee, MENCO, as well as EXCO. The budget and expenditure trends are also presented at finance forums, which most of finance and corporate services managers are represented, and implications of unauthorized expenditure are discussed. Also, the Chief Financial Officer and the Director Management Accounting have visited various districts to provide support on budget management best practice. Furthermore, the department has communicated with the Provincial Treasury in June 2022 regarding budget shortfall against compensation of employees as a result of the budget cuts. Also, a motivation requesting for additional funds was forwarded to the Provincial Treasury, which indicated budget shortfall against goods and services due to yearly increase in costs for security services. With regard to Resolution 202 of 2022, the response is that the department has submitted the rollover request for the amount of 38.4 million, which was unspent but committed at the end of the year, financial year 21-2022. The department subsequently received approval from the National Treasury for the rollover of 38.8 million in relation to the ECD grant from the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative Fund. And these funds were allocated to the Department of Education during the year 2022-2023 adjustment estimates. With regard to Resolution 203 of 2022, what the department was looking for was with regard to the progress on disciplinary matters and outcomes with regard to the cases that we have. We have outlined this in the other document, which is a way, not this one, which is a PowerPoint. The details I've summarized in the above slides, the details per case, what is it that has been pronounced as a sanction and so on. So this is our last response. When you look into the other presentation, it's page on page 10. It's a detailed response in terms of even the investigations that are done, forensic investigations. I'm not sure, Honorable Chair, whether I can go through these other reports in terms of the progress of all the investigations that we have, because is in terms of the reference per number, the misconduct that was pronounced, and also what is it that was investigated. It includes even those that are involved in criminal investigations and those that have passed on, because we have instances where you find that officials have passed away and then and so on. So can I be guided, Honorable Chair? Then we'll continue.
Actually, I think members, you do have this. This was. You do have this. This was also emailed. There were 2 documents about DSD emailed. This one was emailed earlier. So I think members can refer to it, HOD, unless anybody wants to raise a specific matter. But it's quite an extensive document. I'm just trying to look at where it starts. It actually starts, there's one set of investigations. It starts on page 10, right, of the detailed response. And it goes right through, I think, to page 23. So from page 10 to 23, right, there's a detailed response. You can look at that, colleagues. It also covers the SIU investigation that is on page 23 itself, amounting to 4.6 million. And that is around the blankets and the PPE. That's the last investigation reported in this. So I don't know if you have any specific questions, members, but my view is I don't think the HOD needs to go through it investigation by investigation. There may be specific investigations you would like to ask questions on. And I think you can raise that when we open for discussion. HOD, you can.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, honorable members. We are done with the responses as the resolutions based on the previous meeting. We would like now to present, and unless if the honorable chairperson guide us otherwise. We have also prepared a presentation with regard to unauthorized expenditure. We would like to also tender an apology with regard to that presentation. We did not get the request on time, but we have since prepared the presentation. It's only a few slides.
Thanks, HOD. The reason that asked for that presentation is that we will, as Scopa, have to look at unauthorized expenditure, and we felt that seeing that we are meeting the department, let's hear the department as well. The unauthorized expenditure is in the, I think, the region of, let me just get this, 90.2 million HOD. We just want to see that. My concern, which I will raise here, and I know you will cover it, is can the department absorb it? In other words, from your funds, or would there be an expectation that it goes against the Provincial Revenue Fund? So let's take that presentation, colleagues. It will help us, and we can actually make a determination, with more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, MEC. We will then present that report. I have Mr. Mngomezulu David, who is the acting CFO in the department. He will then take us through on that report. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, greetings, Honorable MEC. We note the report by the Provincial Treasury that was submitted to Scopa, which is talking to the unauthorized expenditure by social development. As the Honorable Chair was saying, whether the department will be able to cover the cost of the unauthorized expenditure. We did indicate in the previous...
Sorry, Mr. Mngomezulu. Colleagues, you can also refer to your emails. This was emailed to you this morning. Okay, so you can also look at it. Yes. Continue, please.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I was saying, as indicated in the previous Scopa in November, when the honorable members were asking whether it could be the first charge, we indicated as a department that because of the budget cuts that we suffered, we won't be able to carry the cost of the unauthorized expenditure. That would mean the department will have to do away with the other projects planned, and it will have to close some of its functions. But in terms of the presentation, I think the first part has been covered by the head of department, because as indicated that we only received this information late, and we could not prepare it as required by the letter that we received. So it has been covered, the third page. I'll start from where we're talking about details of over expenditure. We are saying details and reasons for over expenditure in 2021-22, and whether the vote itself was overspent as a result. In 2021, the department registered, or this part also has been covered by HOD. I think I'll start from the steps taken to ensure compliance. The following steps have been taken and implemented to prevent unauthorized expenditure. The department appointed responsibility managers to control their budgets. The department also holds monthly budget meetings. There is a budget committee that sits each and every month to look at the performance in terms of finances. There is also the monthly in-year monitoring report, which we submit to Provincial Treasury. it also indicates the areas where there are pressures. The measures which have been put in place include continuous engagement on budget issues in various forums, including budget committee, where most of the MENCO members are present. The budget and expenditure trends are also presented at the finance forum, where most of the finance and corporate services managers are represented, and implications of unauthorized expenditure are discussed. Also, the Chief Financial Officer and Director Management Account have visited various districts, provide support on budget management best practice. Furthermore, the department has communicated with Provincial Treasury in June 2022 regarding the budget shortfalls against compensation of employees as a result of the budget cuts. Also, a motivation requesting additional funds was forwarded to Provincial Treasury, which indicated the budget shortfalls against goods and services due to yearly increases costs for security services. Budget cuts that were implemented to the department are hampering effective implementation of compliance measures undertaken. Why unauthorized expenditure could not be prevented. The department experienced huge cuts which affected allocations for contractual obligations such as security services, catering, facilities, institutions, which includes old age homes, rehabilitation centers, and children's homes, as well as the cleaning services that we are getting the service providers to render for the department. Compensation of employees was also severely affected by the budget cuts, as it was even indicated in our budget statement for 22-23 that even the warm bodies allocations were affected. Capital infrastructure budget was also affected. We are experiencing pressures in that classification. Steps taken against officials. It's the same report that was presented by the head of department, which is indicating that officials were sanctioned, demotions was implemented to some of them, and others resigned when the disciplinary actions were taken against them. I will not repeat what the HOD presented in the report. So that is how we managed speedily to gather the information regarding the unauthorized expenditure. In terms of irregular expenditure, that was also submitted by our provincial treasury. We will refer the honorable members to the first document of which was submitted when we were responding to the resolutions that were due on the 31st of January, because the numbers that are shown in the Treasury's report are not talking to our situation. They quoted the figures that are were submitted by our former CFO, where the processes of condonation or the guidelines were not followed. So we will want to refer the honorable members to the table that was included in our responses to the resolutions, where we are indicating that we have made 2 submissions to Provincial Treasury. The one was done in March, which amounted to 399.433 million, and the second one was done in September, which amounts to 208.665 million. Both of them are totaling to 608.099 million. We did indicate, even in our in the previous meeting, that while we're doing the determination tests, we have discovered that there was an amount of 100 million which was incorrectly classified as irregular expenditure. So we have picked up that, and we corrected it when we submitted our financials, the interim financial statements for the third quarter. So our irregular expenditure has drastically reduced. We indicated that we were going to submit on the 10th February 2023.
Sorry, colleagues, if you refer to page 6 of the resolutions responses signed, you'll find what he's talking about.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. So is that 100 million, it's also reducing our irregular expenditure. Because there were things that were classified as irregular, yet they were not supposed to have been classified. So I would like also to report to the honorable members that we did not meet the deadline we set ourselves of the 10th of February. Because when we looked at our submission, there were things that were still lacking. The important part of what is still lacking is the implementation of the consequence management, because as we indicated that what we were going to submit is in relation to the PPEs procurement, as well as the ILIMA issue, which the department is still finalizing the issue of consequence management regarding that. Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable members.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngomi Zulu, and to the HUD and MEC and your team. I must just say, before I open the floor for discussion, colleagues, I went through all the responses, as I'm sure you did, and it's clear that the department has done a lot of work. It's looking much better than we have seen this department in a while, particularly around the issue of security contracts and catering contracts, which are like the chronic irregular expenditure. This time they've advertised, appointed, etc. Will obviously require updates, because we were informed about this previously, in another era. But as I say, it is looking positive. Also, the fact that they are working with the irregular expenditure and actually detailing how they can clear irregular expenditure is important. It's quite an amount that they've got reclassified, right? So that's important. Then I also want to commend the department on its actions in terms of payment within 30 days. This is excellent. They've really done well, and we would like to commend them on that. Also, in terms of the unauthorized expenditure, I just want to draw members' attention to the report we received from Treasury, where Treasury's recommendation was that this amount of unauthorized expenditure incurred by the department be absorbed by the Provincial Revenue Fund. you must go back to your report, right, and look at that, because as Scopa, we will have to make our determination on it. Okay, so let me open the floor to you, colleagues. I'm also welcoming the chairperson of social development and of the portfolio committee. I'm glad that you are here. I see the hand of Honorable Kaula, the hand of Honorable de Klerk, and the hand of Honorable Nkosi. Take you in that order. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, Honorable Kaula. Sorry, Francois. It's because, you know, we've not seen each other. I'm not going to say all white men look the same, right?
Thank you.
Okay, so Honorable Kaula, Rogers, Honorable Zulu, Honorable. I don't think I left anyone out.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable MEC, Honorable members, HOD and the team, Social Development. Thanks for the presentations, Chair. I might be a little bit out of line with commenting and stuff like that. I'm not yet there. Maybe when I have been clarified, I'll get to that level of the chairperson. Let me start with the last one that was presented, chairperson, the over expenditure. Slide 3, CFO and HOD, where you are explaining the reasons for over expenditure. Amongst your reasons, the first one, you are saying that what has contributed to your over expenditure is the accruals from the previous years. Well, you are also citing other issues, your goods and services, your rent, your ESCOM issues, your water issues, tariffs, and so on and so forth. But I'm mainly being drawn to the one that you have cited first, which is your accruals. What does this tell me? It tells me that the previous years, you had not been managing your finances properly. As a result, you have to go back and pay what you messed up the previous year. Why am I saying that? Your response in terms of your steps taken, slide 4, appointment of responsibility managers to do what? To manage your finances, because that is where you think you are lacking. Why should then Treasury pay you money that you messed up the previous year because you did not have people who were properly managing your finances? That's why I disagree, Chairperson. I'm saying, no. They should pay for their own sins. First charge against their 2023-24 budget, because it, amongst other things, it's matters pertaining to them in the previous years failing to properly manage their budget. That is what they are saying to us in these presentations. Let me go, Chairperson, to take me a little bit of time to the main one that was presented to us. I have to look for it. Starting with slide 4, HOD. You are telling us that this will not affect you with your future audits because this has now been migrated to education. You see, I'm saying to myself, this is one government. It might have migrated to education, but it's still an issue. What have you done to ensure that where you have taken it to, it doesn't affect them. You cannot be happy that, no, because it's no longer with me, I'm happy. In the future, it's not going to affect me anymore. No. One government. What is it going to do to education? Have you consulted your counterparts to ensure that where you have migrated the problem to, it doesn't become an issue of audit with education? Slide 8, Chairperson. I am concerned as we are, Chairperson, all the time when we get reports like this, people who jump ship. I just want to know what the department has done to ensure that. No. Slide 8 is something else. Slide 8 is the appointments. Now, the department is seemingly.
Slide 8 is investigations.
Yeah, investigations, Chair. What I'm saying is there are delays, but amongst these delays is because there were vacancies. But my take, Chairperson, is that as legislature, we never delay passing the budget. May, June, we pass the budget. Why are departments delaying appointments? And when there are problems, they come back to us and say, and cite the delays as reasons for the problems that they've encountered as departments. But as legislature, we never delay passing the budget. So it cannot be a scapegoat. These delays cannot be a scapegoat to Parliament, because Parliament has never delayed giving them money. Why do you delay doing your own job and come back with those reasons to us? Slide 12. Chairperson, this is the one that I confused with the other one. The jumping of ship of so many officials who, as soon as disciplinary measures are instituted, we have got this on 12B, slide 12B, slide 14B, slide 14C, slide 15G. People have jumped ship. But what we want government to do, Chairperson, is to say, when somebody has jumped ship, what steps have you taken to ensure that you also sensitize others? Where are these people? Can it not happen that they are with the other departments in the same government, nationally, provincially, locally? Now, maybe we should go to the extent of saying, can we get the names? Can we get the names of these people as Scopa? Then we'll take it from there. Because you cannot have people messing up social development and they go to transport. They mess at transport, they go to education. It can't be. They mess up at social development, they go to Mtuba municipality. It can't be. It's one government, it's one country. Can we get names of these people? Lastly, Chairperson, lastly, slide 24 and 25 on underspending. This one, they say they applied for a rollover on the committed fund. They underspent by 82 million. Then they applied for a rollover of a committed portion, which was 38.2 million. It's just a comment, Chairperson, to say this means that there was a 44.1 loss to KZN because of this underspending, which had to go back to national. Just a comment, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Honorable Kaula, for your contributions. As usual, you pick up the key issues. Honorable Rogers.
Thanks, Chair. I'm standing in for Honorable de Klerk. Chair, yeah, from my side, I see what you raised as positive signs, but I still think that this department has serious challenges, and it's structural challenges related to capability and ability. And that's why you see the main reasons for irregular, unauthorized and all the other challenges that the department faces. And I think unless we address that, we're going to be trying to put out forest fires with fire extinguishers. We're never going to get to the bottom of the problem. So I listened to the Honourable MEC talking about delays in investigations, and obviously it forms part of your report. So surely your internal audit, your risk management, that should be the part of your department that's actually dealing with that, if I'm correct. Now, if there's a delay, as Honourable Kaula said, it could be the non-filling of vacant posts, but that's been a historical problem. It's not a new problem. So my next question then would be, has a skills audit ever been undertaken in the department? Because clearly, if I look at the amount of irregular activity by officials, then either it's done purposefully or it's done because they don't understand the system. But either way, there's got to be consequences. So perhaps that's my first clear question, is about the skills audit. I also want to touch on the accruals. Now, you know, this is something that we've been talking about in finance for a very long time, is accruals. And the tighter the budget becomes, the worse an accrual will affect you in the following years. Now, I'd like to know whether the department, when it engages with the committee, actually submits, there's a I almost said council resolution. There's a legislature resolution that says that a monthly cash flow should be presented to the committee, and that should be broken down as to indicating what your debtors balance is, what your creditors balance is. Now, if you've done that, then I need to engage politically with the chairperson of your committee, because they should have been aware that you were going to have these accruals. But I would hazard a guess you haven't supplied that information, because I think your committee would have been on top of that. I want to say something else, and this is no indication of any committee, but I had an off-the-record chat with the Premier after the State of the Province debate. And one of the things that frustrates her is that some of our committees are not getting down to the nuts and bolts of what's happening in our departments. And I thought that was interesting coming from the Premier. Vacancies, acting CFO. Perhaps the HOD can tell me how long the CFO has been acting. How many years? It'd be interesting to know, because I think we've raised this before. And what is your plan of action? When I look at your budget expenditure in your department, clearly everything we're doing is on an historical basis. I'm sorry if I'm bringing finance into your committee, Chair, but it's a question I'd like to ask. Has Treasury discussed with you about implementing a zero-based budget moving forward? In other words, not dealing with an historical budget, but dealing with what the demands are in today's times. Because that would circumvent some of your unauthorized expenditure that I see that's happening. Yeah, Chair, I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you so much.
Honourable Zulu.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Chair. Greetings, your good self, board chairperson, also MEC colleagues and our staff members. Chair, I have few clarity-seeking questions. The first one being on the 38.8M ECD grant. I'm asking this because of the migration. So is it still with DSD? And if yes, how do you then ensure that the current user department do get it? And the reason why it is still with DSD. Also, the clarity on the employees that were found guilty but were demoted. I've wronged the institution that has made me, but instead I can. For me, it's another way of shifting between the departments, but this one, it's an intra one. It happens within the department. Unavoidable and unauthorized expenditure. Because we have even mentioned areas of focus or where there are challenges, why don't we then budget for those like your old age home so that you become then the authorized expenditure? So those are my questions. But all in all, I think, Chair, we really need to say in as much there are challenges, but there is a lot of improvement, which I think we can commend and say we believe that even the strategies that have been employed, like the issue of budget meetings, I think we'll see improvement in the near future or in the next financial year, as to say because of these strategies that were implemented, we can then say we have seen improvement. Otherwise, we really support. There's been an issue that was an ISO in the department, the issue of payment to service provider. Because, you know, our people sometimes I had to take a loan from the loan sharks so as to be able to do the work. And the longer you take, I'm kind of incurring interest. While we're saying we're empowering, to a certain extent, we disempower them. So I believe that particular improvement, I think, as sihlale kuyona, improve where possible. Then thank you so much, Honorable Chair.
No, I'm a senior shop steward during my time. No, colleagues, there's one thing that I want to. I would not deal with this presentation as if I'm dealing with the annual report. Because we dealt with a number of issues, the 85 point something million of the conditional grant for ECD and the 38 point something, we dealt with it. I was dealing with it personally. No, it's at Scopa in November. So I'm not going to go there because I'm dealing with the report as responding to the decisions that we took after interrogating the department on the annual report. The first question that I would want to find out is to what you have indicated, HOD, that you are dealing with the fruitless and wasteful expenditure of 2018, and we have dealt with the rest, except the two. The question that I would want to pose as to why did you take so long to deal with those two in particular, bearing in mind to what happened in 2019 when I personally raised that issue of the fruitless and wasteful expenditure and the demand that the money after the investigation be repaid to the people of KZN. I didn't hear the reasons for the delays, but I heard that you have embarked on it and all that stuff. But after how many years? That's my frustration. I want to agree with the chairperson that your report makes us feel comfortable a bit, a lot better. You know, your report, bearing in mind what happened in the past. So I want just to leave it there. One of the things that made me very much comfortable is the implementation, what the AG has been complaining about, and this committee. That is lack of consequence management. You know, what you have indicated, the action you have taken against the errant officials gives hope that employees of government will play according to the rules of that are written in the book. That's what I really appreciate, you know, these demotions and all the stuff. Having commended you on consequence management, can you clarify me on this one? Why members of the SMS were treated differently from the ordinary people? Are we still pursuing the agenda that the small fish is the one that is suffocated and the big ones are condoned? That's what is in your report that we received today. That members of the SMS were just given precautionary measures, whereas the levels 9 people were demoted, and one of them was even forced to forgo the salary for 2 months and all the life on almost the same error committed by them. You know, I want to remove this myth. They are always protected, and the ordinary people. And laba ordinary people into frustrated kakhulu yilaba bafola from level 12 downwards. And bese ngiyibuza umbuzo, futhi kanzenzani ama-unions when they don't protect their membership, when they are getting victimized by management? Management is protected, they commit mistakes, they are protected, and then ordinary people of our salary level 7 are hajaho. And that's what I got in your report, and it confused me a lot. The last one that I want to comment on is around the recommendation of the provincial treasury, around the question of the unauthorized expenditure that you incur. Personally, I will be compelled to align myself with the provincial treasury because I understand the intricate matters there. If then they feel that there is something in the provincial revenue fund that can stomach your problems because we have explained to them, and then they feel that to go to the first charge, they will suffocate you, then why do you suffocate the department that is expected to deliver services? That's